Tactical 16 radio.
Fire in the hole!
With Silent J.
This is Tactical 16 Radio. I am Silent J. Good to be back with everybody. As you can see, my backdrop has changed a little bit. I am no longer able to have my own studio, so I'm making do. I got some friendly trees behind me. No longer do I have the green screen and the banner, but that's being worked on. But anyway, I got a great guest tonight. Before we get to her, the show's been brought to you by Tactical16.com. Check out Tactical16.com for all your veteran reading pleasures. It's a book brought to you by veterans and military brats, spouses of veterans, anybody that's related to the veteran world. We publish books written by them. We cut out the middleman, and it's brought to you by vets for everybody. So education through entertainment. We have a bunch of books that are going to be coming up that are a little bit different than our past releases. Before we've talked about, soldiers and their personal experiences, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. Now we're going to start getting into poetry and children's books, and hopefully one of these days soon, a comic book, since I am a huge comic book fan. So if there's any artists out there, why don't you jump on board? And then also, we do a lot of other stuff. So check out the website, Tactical16.com. You can check out some T-shirts, some other apparel, and then, of course, the books. You can find those on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles, and a few Barnes & Nobles locations. I know you can find them on shelves in Florida, Texas, California, Colorado, and hopefully soon to be New York. And I have a special surprise for a guest once we start talking about her project and what I'm doing in New York. That'll be different than any of our other releases. So this is going to be a surprise for everybody that I've been working on. And so we'll get to that in a second. And then also check out vetsonmedia.com. That's vetsonmedia.com. What's vetsonmedia.com? Well, if you're here, you either know what vetsonmedia.com is, or somebody told you about us that knows of vetsonmedia.com. What VOM is, it's a website that brings you entertainment from the military world. Most of our hosts are veterans. The founders, Adam and James, they are veterans, and they decided that terrestrial radio only goes so far, whereas the internet goes a little farther, actually a lot farther, everywhere. You can get the internet everywhere. Your FM and AM stations only go so far as their signal provides. So vetsonmedia.com has shows for everybody. We have MMA-related shows. We have comedy shows. We have finance-related shows, shows by two women. The No Limit show on Saturday morning. They talk too much for me to be able to comprehend everything that's going on, so I can't always tune in. And plus, I'm not friends with them right now because one of the hosts of No Limits Radio is leading the Vets on Media football pool, and so I'm kind of bitter with them right now. And then we also have some of our new shows. One is what is that? That show. It's an urban flavored show. It's anything related in the world of hip-hop and urban culture, African-American culture. It's a really good show, except it's on too late for me because I have class the next day. So I used to listen to it, and I used to have fun with the host. Ivan is one of them. And I can no longer do that because I used to just sit back, listen to him, and talk to the host on Twitter while the show was going on. Now I have a different bedtime, so I'll try to catch them when I can. And then we have the sports show, which I'm not even gonna say the host name. It's Blank's Rockin' Sports Show because he beat me in fantasy football on Sunday in the Vets on Media Fantasy Football League. So there's a lot of shows that aren't getting plugs because I'm bitter about what happened on Sunday in the football games. But the Bills are 2-0, so my beloved Buffalo Bills are 2-0. So the world still works. So anyway, check out vetsonmedia.com and tactical16.com, and then our other groups, lovemewhenimgone.com. And what else is there? Oh, militarymediamafia.com. That's kind of like the centrifuge for everything related to all of our websites and all the guys involved in all of the stuff that we do. Enough of me talking, because, well, it's September 17th, and what I always like to do on September 17th is have somebody very entertaining on the show. I don't know if I did it last year. This may be the very first year that I've done this new September 17th show. So our guest tonight is Pam. Pam, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Silent J?
I'm good. As unlike what the name says, I'm not silent. So
No way. Just that the two don't go together.
yeah, it's a perfect oxymoron for media. So, but anyway, Pam, you know a few things about media, and you also know a few things about writing and tactical speaking.
Yes, I do. And as I look at both of our backdrops, they kind of look the same. Flora, fauna. You've got trees. I've got some flowers. It wasn't planned that way. It just kind of happened.
No, yeah. No longer do I have the microphone in the crossed 16. So this is a far cry. And the show that I host Sunday night with Rob Lewis, the Center Mass show, every week he's been making fun of my backdrop. So I think I might put a different painting up every week to just change it up, and I don't know.
That sounds like a good idea too. I'm really waiting for Amazon to make a delivery here at my home, because I ordered my Tactical 16 T-shirt, and I would be wearing it tonight, but I don't have it, so I just have a camo thing going on. And I'm also waiting for a book called Proof of Our Resolve. It's by one of the authors who's on the Tactical 16 team. And I don't know if that's going to be easy reading, or if it's just going to be real deep and make me think, or maybe make me mad. But I'll probably feel a range of emotions as I get through that one. I think that may have been his first one. I'm not sure.
That was his first one, and he has another book called Line in the Valley, and that just hit paperback. And Chris is a very good writer. His blogs just hit 1 million, so he's had 1 million on his blog site, which unfortunately I don't have right now. But yeah, Chris writes all the time. I mean, I'm
looking forward to that. I write. I've been writing for more than 30 years as a broadcast journalist, but I've never written like a story book, a story, a novel, anything like that. But this one that we're talking about tonight will be the first in a series. That's the way I'm planning it. And I'm very happy about it, and I think it's an important book for everyone to be aware of.
Now, your book is a little bit different than the rest of the Tactical 16s in the fact that yours is a children's book, and it also has pictures in it, where very few of our books have pictures in it. And what I have seen so far, it's phenomenal. I think it's a great idea. It's a great step, and what better way to educate children on the subject is than something to get to their level, and where it's not a boring adult book that a child has to read,
or it's too heavy it's too heavy, or it makes them feel sad or uncomfortable. This book does nothing like that, and I'm so glad that I found y'all Tactical 16 through G.I. Jen, because the book was written about 3 years ago, but it was hard to find a publisher. It was hard to find a publisher because I'm a starving writer, and the cost for all of the different elements and getting a book a book done, from copy editing to illustrations to the text. There's just so many areas that you have to go through to finally get a book published, and I just didn't have the means to do it. I had a little bit of money from my family and friends, and I told them, I said, I'm going to go to you guys first, because if you don't support me, how in the world can I go out in the world and ask people to support me? So they were able to give me like some seed money to get it going. And for a children's book, pictures are everything. And so I found a wonderful, wonderful illustrator. Her name is Valeria, and she lives in Maine. Valeria is Wicker. I was searching for her last name, Valeria Wicker, because we don't even use our last names when we talk. But she is amazing, and I knew when I saw examples of her work that I wanted her to help me. And she seems to have a real big heart for where my heart is. So we're on the same page, and when she submits a sketch, I make very few changes, because she's truly outstanding. The book, I guess I should start by saying that the book is called Ashley's High Five for Daddy, and it's a little girl. She's about 8 years old, and she is truly a daddy's girl. He's like her world. He's her hero. She's not a girly girl, so she doesn't care about, you know, tutus or frilly this or frilly that, or how her hair looks. It's always, her hair is always done, but there's something a little bit rough around the edges, and she doesn't care about that. So she likes to wear, you know, she likes camo shirts, because, you know, her dad wears them, camo shorts. And so he's been to Afghanistan for deployment there, and so this book is about when he comes home. And the high five aspect is because before he went to war, whenever they saw something that was cool and neat and it lit them up, they would always give each other a high five and just go like, hey, high five. And so that there were some things that were missing and were a little bit different when her dad came home, but that high five thing was the thing that solidified whatever was a little bit different about him. And it's not a really long story, but it takes this very, very complex condition, post-traumatic stress, and then it boils it down in a way that makes sense to a young child, without it being, like I said at the top, without it being like scary and I don't want to turn the page, or now I feel uncomfortable. I wanted the military to approve it and support it and sign off on it, and I wanted to speak with someone who works with children who may have trouble making sense of things that are going on at home. So I wrote to the U.S. Army, and I asked if they could provide me the name of a child psychiatrist who works specifically with military children. And before they would even help me and say, yeah, we know a lot of specialists that we could advise you about, I had to submit a letter to them explaining the plot of the book, the intention of the book, you know, how the book would end and what was supposed to be the message of the book. And I submitted all of that to them, and they wrote me a letter of approval and said, yeah, we like what you're up to, and here's a psychiatrist at Fort Bragg who's affiliated with Womack Army Hospital, and here's his contact information. You tell him that we said he could talk to you, and he can work with you. So this is a psychiatrist who works with children and adolescents, and he's been at it for 29 years. So he knows what he's doing. You hear me? So he was the one that I would bounce ideas off of, and I would ask him, as we're talking to an 8-year-old, you know, would he or she understand it if I said this, or help me with this verbiage or this terminology? And he did. So I started sending him, you know, the illustrations recently, and he says, my gosh, you actually did it. He says, all that talking we were doing, you were sending me rough drafts of this and that. And he is very interested in writing an afterword to the story, just a line or two, a paragraph or two, I should say, to the parent, the loved one who is reading the book with the child, to kind of give them some insight on what they can do moving forward to make sure that other things may come up and how they might address the other things that can happen. So he knows, his name is Dr. John Lessica. He knows that I want this to be the first in a series of books, and so he has to get approval. I mean, you know that chain of command. Mm-hmm. But I want to use him as a resource so that I can speak and write about things that are right on trend on what he is seeing in his practice. He knew all about, obviously, he knew all about post-traumatic stress and how it impacts children and how it impacts families. So I want to find out what else he's hearing from children and what else he's hearing from parents, and then use that as another, I guess, adventure or just a concern or a conflict, a problem that this main character, Ashley, is going to go through and either find some understanding or meaning or be in a position to share what she knows with another child.
Now, where did you get the draw your inspiration from for writing a children's book about PTSD?
Well, it first comes from the impact on post-traumatic stress in my life. I am an Army brat. I was born at Fort Benning, Georgia. And so my family settled in South Florida. And believe it or not, with all this talking that I do in 30 years in broadcast journalism, as a child, I was extremely shy, just very timid. And all of the pictures that you see, you know, in our little photo album, I'm either hiding behind my mom's skirt dress or I have my hands up to my face. I was just very, very shy as a child. So when I was coming of age, the Vietnam War was going on, and that they called that the living room war, and they called it bang bang journalism because every night, every single night, watching the evening news, you were watching war. War was in your face, and you were seeing bullets, bombs, all of this happening, and I saw that. I was with my dad. My dad would come home from work. He'd sit in his easy chair, and he'd watch the news. But I saw it, and I saw what he was seeing, but I was too shy to ask him what was going on, and why are these people falling down, and why is this person bleeding, and why are they yelling? And I could not process it, and I was too shy to ask him to help me process. Now, on top of that, my sister, who's older than I am, had friends from our neighborhood who went to Vietnam. And when they came back, and they would, come and visit her, and they'd be sitting or standing on the front porch, I was noticing that they were not the same guys that I knew when they left. And they talked really fast. They were very animated, and they kept talking about the enemy. They just seemed agitated, like they couldn't settle down. And then I'm thinking, what in the world happened to John or Leroy or Sam, or you know what I'm saying? It's like I saw them and they were changed, but I didn't understand it. I had no understanding about it. And as I grew older, boy, I started reading everything. I became a Vietnam researching machine because it left such a mark on me, and I needed to find out I needed an explanation for what I was seeing. So I read fiction, I read biographies, I saw films, documentaries, all of that. So I totally get it now. But I wanted to write this book because it hit me this post-traumatic stress as a child, and it was something I wanted so strongly to write about because it left such a mark on me.
Was it easy to remember those feelings, remember the emotions when you're younger and
Yeah, yeah, and so I'm not asking it. I'm like this timid, shy as heck kid. So I'm not asking anybody about anything that I'm seeing on television and that I'm seeing from the guys who grew up in our neighborhood. But I sure knew that they weren't the same. And of course, nobody treated it then like they do now, and they still don't treat it right now. We could have a whole conversation around that. So I began feeling and having ignorance around post-traumatic stress, but that's what I was seeing, and it was right around the age of the little girl in the book. So I think that's really how all of that came together. And just speaking away from the book a little bit, as I do more and more stories. Meaning stories when I was working on broadcast television, and I also have my own camera unit where I shoot my own stories. I write them and I edit them and I put them on YouTube. I'm just beginning to go beyond just I'll see a veteran and I'll say thank you. I'm beginning to really know quite a few of them, like know them, and they have post-traumatic stress, and it's so real, and it's not being addressed. I mean, I'm not saying that somewhere there's a cure out there for it, but I think that it's easier to medicate than to get inside the brain, because it affects everybody differently. And if you lost a limb, that gets fixed, and you get fitted with a prosthetic. But when you talk about the brain, and I know you know what I'm saying, that is so complex. It would take too much time, maybe too much money. Nobody wants to spend the kind of money and time it would take to really get inside the brain and figure out how do you reprocess, how do you shut something down and turn something else on. And I know that it's possible. It's just I don't think people care enough. I really don't think they care enough.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, you look at medicine now, and you look at science now. They're able to reprint body parts on a 3D printer. Like you can.
Yeah, I saw that. They're doing it.
If you're making body parts out of a printer, I mean, it's more than just like your typical Xerox. But if you can do that, I think you can tap into somebody's mind. Not in a physical level, like rip someone's head open and look like, okay, there's the spot right there. But to really sit down and not interview, okay, 1 out of every 1,000 vets we're going to do a case study on. It's just that everybody varies so much. I even think, like I look at it, I have PTSD, and somebody my age, 35, couple deployments from this region, under the same family conditions, be completely different, I believe, from somebody from the southwestern part of the country or the northwestern. I mean, it's not just, people are affected every day, where they're from, their background. You could put 1,000 people together and say, okay, this is what we got to watch for. No, it really is a case-by-case thing. So I think if
it is case-by-case.
And it really sat down, and I know I was guilty of this. When I go through the line, you go through medical, when you come back from overseas, it's like, okay, I'm going to tell them what they want to hear so I can get out of this line and either go see my friends and family or go have a beer or whatever the case may be. So I was like, yeah, I feel great. Yeah, I could sleep. Okay, that's awesome. And then, like the instance that I had when I came back 10 years ago, it was a complete disaster on a mental and emotional and physical level, where very dark time for me. Self-medication,
Oh, yeah.
pain, doing some things that could have been irreversible if they were done correctly. Thank goodness I'm
Uh,
Polish, and that joke is,
Stop.
you know, no, it's good. I bet it's like, okay, Polak can't do anything right. Oh, thank God I didn't get that one right. Because when I came back from my last deployment, I looked at it as, okay, I'm not going to take pills. I'm not going to abuse, I'm not going to take them at all. I'm not going to give myself the opportunity to abuse them. What I'm going to do is do something that I've never done before. I started doing stand-up comedy. I took it as, okay, I was giving another chance to go through war and come back unscathed. Mentally, I'm suffering. How am I gonna feel better? Because ultimately, when you're not feeling good, there's something deeply upsetting, and it's like, how am I gonna help myself? How am I gonna lift my own spirits? So I started doing stand-up comedy. I started doing
Oh.
broadcasting. Worked at an FM station, uh, podcasting, internet radio, writing articles, stuff like that. It's like, okay, I'm gonna take this opportunity that I was given, and I'm now, instead of all the self-destruction I did 10 years ago, this time I'm just gonna run with it, and I'm just going to do everything I want. I may not succeed, but I'm just gonna try everything I've wanted. It's like going into a buffet. It's like, instead of just trying this, I'm gonna take a bite of everything.
You know what? I'm telling you, the more you talk, the more my mouth is hanging open, and I'm thinking, Pam, you're looking very simple right now. Like, can you close your mouth? And then I'll close my mouth, and then you'll say something else, and then my jaw drops again, and I'm saying, wait a minute, don't you want to look good on doing this interview? It's like, well, then close your mouth. You look like you're very, very, very simple.
Well, that's the thing, like, I'm 35, and now I'm like, okay, what else haven't I done? Oh, you know what? I want to be a filmmaker, and I want to go to college. Now I'm going to college. Now my next step. Now I'm working on, hopefully, infancy of my first film work. And like you with your book, if you show somebody you can do something, if your book, if a small child looks into a book, say that they suffered from dealing with PTSD, a mom or a dad that had PTSD, and they look at the book, you know, th- I don't think it's a doom and gloom ending in your book. I think there might be, a happy ending. So if a child
Yes. Oh, heck yeah.
if a child sees that, they could do the equivalent of what I did. Like, this character got through this. I think I could do the same thing, because children tend to relate to things that are animated or colored or drawn. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's the experience in the book, and of course, we're talking about children, so the form of post-traumatic stress that her father has suffered is, I guess, would be considered mild or minor compared to some that are more severe. Um, and I think that that's important, because if nothing else, it begins to open up a conversation between the parent, the child, the grandmother, the grandfather, whoever is the one giving them love and care. Um, so we're about halfway. We're about halfway done with it right now, and the illustrator Valeria, who I think is just so great, and you've seen some of her sketches and illustrations. I said, sometimes I said, you send me a picture, and then my eyes start watering, and I'm thinking, Pam, okay, it's a sketch, it's a picture, and she said, well, is everything all right? And I'm saying, yes. I said, I said, you just captured everything that I wanted to communicate, and so it's very real. I mean, the things that happen would be things that you would see happen in any family, on the surface, who's welcoming someone home from deployment. But for children, like I said, the pictures are the thing. I mean, and then the words in the story might be a little bit secondary, but she has done a fantastic fantastic job with that. So it's the thing that just continues to light me up, and as long as it continues a discussion on post-traumatic stress, then I'm going to be all for that, because I just don't feel that that there's enough science, that there's enough research, to really get into what that's all about. And then, we know that it happened in previous wars, but just, the multiple deployments, that's kind of like added on to what would have happened already. And I talked to a veteran who lost a leg because of an IED device explosion, and we were just talking about veterans when they come home, and he said, what people need to know is, because of where they were, what they saw, and what they did, they will never be the person that you knew a year ago or 2 years ago or whatever. He says, so that's a given. It's just going to be how you now begin to relate to each other. He says there's no way that a military service member could do what they did and not come back changed. And that kind of applies to even veterans who were in Iraq and Afghanistan and really didn't even, I don't mean to say that, who did not see actual combat. The fact that you were ready to, at a moment's notice, if you were called on, and that you were always in that position of, well, I didn't have to go on this, patrol or whatever, but just that knowing and that always having to be ready, even that leaves a mark. So I'm not ready to stop talking about this by any means.
I think the thing that's, I think, different from this war compared to past wars, the recent ones, I'm talking about from the first Gulf War and 90, 91, and Afghanistan and Iraq now, more so Afghanistan now, and whatever the future holds, is you didn't have guys that were doing 10 deployments. You had a guy in World War II that did one really long tour, one hellacious tour. Vietnam, I've talked to guys like, I did 2 tours, 3 tours. That seems to be, the average. You hear a guy, every Vietnam vet that I know personally, 2 or 3 tours.
Okay.
Guys that personally I'm friends with, like 7 tours, 10 tours, between Iraq and Afghanistan. It's like, I've only gone on a couple. 10, and it's like, you look at the guy and it's like, no, he's got to be a liar. But then you think about it, like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And that, I don't think that's what some people realize. And everything, like you said, when you come back, you're a different person. Regardless of what you saw, your family's different, your friends are different, everything's different. There's a fear that you'll never be able to recapture. These guys have 5, 6, 7, 8 years possibly that just wiped out. I don't know how many people can afford to lose a half a decade and be okay. Then add on, the horrors of war. Okay, we just took maybe a quarter of your life, a quarter of your time on Earth has been in a different country, getting shot at and blown up. Now go back and exist, mingle.
Yeah, you're not in the military now. Now you're in the civilian world. I know that there are some major corporations in the country who make it a point of saying, we're going to hire veterans. We support the military. We're going to hire veterans. And they are. We see them. They'll have numbers for us. But I talked to a veteran who has post-traumatic stress. Just very, very smart. He speaks well. He will give 100% to whatever project he gets himself involved with. And so he saw on Craigslist, an ad for a job that he thought would be good for him. And so he went in for the interview, and then he told me he felt really good, when it was over. But he said, you know what? He says, they weren't really asking me so much about the skills that I could bring to this particular job. They kept asking me questions about the war and what I did, and did this happen, and what happened when that. And he says, I was answering their questions, but I just couldn't believe that with the job they wanted me to do, they were asking me so many questions about my service in the military. And as it turned out, a couple of days later, they called him back and said, well, yeah, we really enjoyed talking with you. Your resume, was stellar, but we're going to go with somebody else. And then I started wondering, can you legally, see, now we're on to something else, sorry about that, but can you legally do that in an interview? Because I was wondering, are you trying to measure, is he going to show up and just go off on people, or is he going to just throw things around, or if he's not going to show up at all? I don't know what the law says about that when it comes to job searches. But I told him, I said, I think they were asking you, just too many personal questions about what you did in Iraq and Afghanistan, and then who wants to talk about that anyway? Exactly. Like, I mean, that's your past. I mean, that's what you did, and you're not even looking in that direction anymore. You're trying to look forward.
Mm-hmm.
So,
for all the veterans out there, if you go on a job interview and you were in the military in 2003, just put Time Magazine's Person of the Year. That was the Time Magazine Person of the Year, the service member.
Right.
That's what I'm going to, after college, because I've been active duty the last 10 years, and I was in the reserves and active before that. Now I'm in college. First opportunity I get, I'm putting Time Magazine Person of the Year. They're going to look. They're not going to ask, how many IEDs did you come across? They're like,
yeah.
Time Magazine Person. Yes, I was. Here's a copy of the magazine.
See?
So do that. Do that. And they'll look at you like,
right. How do you like them apples?
Yeah, and when they look at you like you're crazy, and then you prove you actually were Time Magazine's Person of the Year, then they'll be like, okay, all right, I think that's outside the box.
Well, yeah, that this veteran that I'm speaking about, actually, I mean, just to kind of put a fine point on it, he did recently find employment, and he seems to be, it seems to be a position that he enjoys and that he likes, and so good for him. But I felt for him having to having to answer all those questions. So this children's book, before I called Tactical 16, I checked it out, and I saw what y'all were, what you're about and what you were up to, and again, I cannot wait to start reading the book that I ordered. But I was thinking, I don't see anything here about children's books, and everybody else is telling me no, or when I tell them how much money I have, then they laugh and say, hell no. But I would kind of, just like to know why that was an area where you said, well, we've not gone that way before, but why not?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing, it's like, you got to take a chance. If you're deeply emotionally connected to something, why not take a chance? And some people are going to be like, okay, you've been doing this for the last 20, 30 years now, you're writing a children's book, why not? Somebody may never do this after you. Maybe you thought about it before you looked around. Like, sometimes when you look around and like, okay, nobody's ever done this, you get excited. I get excited when it's like, nobody's ever done this. Okay. Some people look around, nobody's ever done. Oh, I don't want to be the first. You don't want to be embarrassed.
Yeah.
It's like, let somebody else do that first. Let me see how they. Now watch. If there's a bunch of children's books about PTSD after this, then we know who the originator was. You can lay claim to that.
Right. Yeah, you're right about that.
In terms of the book itself, like you spoke a lot about your illustrator. What was that vetting process like? Did you know her personally?
I had no idea. We met through the internet. And because my money was not long, and I knew what I could not and what I could not afford, I have a mentor of sorts, and she says, well, Pam, have you ever heard about this website called Elance instead of like free? It's freelance, but it's Elance because it's all done on the internet. And so you present your proposal. It could be anything. It could be I need a slogan, or I want a new logo for my business, or I need illustrations for a children's book. And they start bidding. You don't say what the max is. And so some was like, oh, I can do it, and there were 21 illustrations. I can do it for $300. I can do it for $2,000. So they started coming in, and as they presented their bids, they also showed their portfolios online and pictures they've done before. So I amended it a little bit, my proposal, and said it would be fantastic if my illustrator also had some kind of ties to the military, a military brat, a veteran, him or herself, or someone who had close ties to the military. Mm-hmm. And so I got some veterans who were sending me illustrations. But some of them looked like they were like gaming. It was like the children who might have been in like a video game or something. And I was saying, "Whoa, no, those angles are too sharp." And the kids, they look like, "Whoa!" And I was, and I also got a bid from a woman who said that her dad had PTSD and that she wishes a book like that had been around for, not so much for her, but for her younger sister, who was right around 8 or 9 years old, because she couldn't deal with it. She didn't understand. And she said, good luck on what you're doing, even if you don't choose me, because what you're doing is necessary, and I believe that it would have helped my sister. So I kept looking and looking, and they were coming from all over the world, and I said, this is a story about a United States serviceman that happens to be the father who was deployed. I said, I don't think I want some illustrator from Peru, even though your visuals are really nice, or Uruguay, or Russia. They were in Moscow. They were coming from everywhere, and so I quickly had to put a filter on that, because I said, I'll be doggone if even the art was there. And so I took my time. At first I was rushing because the book has been living inside me so long. I was like, I got to find an illustrator. I got to find an illustrator. So I then just took my time, and and I wanted someone who just was tender, who could, because this is for children, just who had a tender eye, a tender heart, and a tender hand in doing the illustrating. And so it's all managed in a bona fide, legitimate way. So this is how much I will need, or this is how much I require to do the 21 illustrations that you want. And so so then the money goes, she won't get the money until it's done, but that the money is there. It's not just like, am I going to do all this, and then this woman's going to say, oops, made a mistake. So so she and I began to, just kind of talk back and forth. She's from Maine, and, I'm here in North Carolina. And so, I've seen pictures of her family. We've talked about our families, but we've never seen each other face to face. And one of the things that strikes me so much about her is that she's so artistic and fantastic, but she's so humble. And when I tell her, you know, look, I shared with some of the people who follow me, or my friends on Facebook, and they're telling me that the pictures just keep getting better and better, and that they can't wait. And when and I'll repeat that to her, and she was saying, "Oh, that's so nice! I can't believe people are actually saying that." And it's like, lady, you just don't know. You know, they always say like the eyes are the windows to the soul and all of that, but her drawings, and the eyes of the father, and you know, the tenderness of his wife, Ashley's mother, and the illustrator was very intentional about making the resemblance between Ashley and her dad very apparent and very real. Like they both have dimples, and like her nose is kind of like his nose, and you can tell that's her dad, that's his daughter. And
from what was in your imagination, like I'm sure you had an idea.
I sure did.
How spot on was she? Like you said, you had some like animated look, like maybe some,
right.
You know, like, oh, okay, maybe not.
Listen.
And then her, when said you guys clicked. I know I've spoken with a few people who are comic book writers and illustrators, and like the connection between author and illustrator when it comes to anything picture related, it's got to connect. You know, you got to the illustrator's got to draw from what you're saying, and then on a different level draw from what you're thinking, and then
that's right. Because I'm just telling her in words how I saw this little girl, and then I just happened to be in a class giving a speech one day, and a young lady, she drew a picture of me that was. So you have a big butt. Yeah, you got that right. Anyway, so I said, I'm doing this book about a little girl who's, you know, kind of tomboyish, but she loves her dad to pieces, and he's coming home from a deployment. And I told her, I said, this is how I see her. And so she like quickly, you know, drew up something. So that was an illustration, a sketch that I was showing to the bidders. And I said, I like what you're doing. I said, now that you know a little bit about the Ashley that I'm talking about, tell me how you see her based on my description, and then the picture I showed you with the little girl with the wild hair and camo shorts and everything. And I excluded the ones who tried to do it like the young woman who did the sketch, who just did it out of nothing, but she did capture the essence. And so I said, I was thinking to myself, you're trying to win me over by drawing the same thing that somebody drew in 5 minutes. And with this illustrator, Valeria, she got the gist of what I was saying, but her Ashley didn't look anything like the one that was done in 5 minutes time. It was just what I wanted, but it came from her, and it wasn't like she was trying to duplicate what I was doing. That's what she saw in her imagination, and it's exactly what I wanted. And so I'm so happy that I found out about this website, or I don't know how the illustration, how it would have gotten done, because it's everything in the book. And so this Elance website was the answer for me, because illustrators, I mean, like they were saying it's $6,000 and $7,000, and I'm thinking, who pays? Well, I was about to say, who pays that kind of money? Rich people. Rich people do.
They can't draw. That's that kind of money.
No. no, no, no. I talked to Eric Shaw, and he knew my situation, and he said, I know what the illustration. He said we do not want to take all of your money. Tactical 16 does not want to take all of your money, but I will tell you that the lion's share of your money is going to go to the illustrator. He helped me find a copy editor, and she and I went around and around, with just the language, the text, making sure that was on point. And so that's one thing I really appreciated about Team Tactical 16. First of all, being upfront and the honesty, and the fact that because I am a starving writer, I know that I'm in good hands, and I'm gonna do whatever y'all tell me to do on the next end of things. But I'm really, really optimistic and confident that this book can make a difference. I have a friend. I was having dinner with her, and I was telling her about the book. She's kind of like an entrepreneur now, but she is also a veteran. And she told me that she suffered from post-traumatic stress when she came home, and her husband told her, I'm going to give you 6 months to straighten yourself out, or I'm leaving. Like, I can't do this. I can't live with you like this. I don't know every day, who I'm going to wake up to. So 6 months went by, and she was nowhere near, like all of a sudden she's that woman that he married, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago, and so he left her. He gave her 6 months, or I'm leaving. So he left. She had left her to raise 2 young boys at the time. They're grown-ups now. But she even told me that a book like that would have been helpful for her, just to begin to have a conversation on a child's level about, things are a little bit different, and here's kind of the reason why.
Yeah, and I tell you what, the 2 things that connected me as a parent to what I've seen from your book so far, the illustration. Well, 1 as a parent, 2 as a service member, and then 3 having PTSD was it was the hat that really did it for me. The fact that the little girl wore the ACU hat, the ACU cover, because a year and a half ago, I had to switch. I got transferred. I had to switch duty locations, and I did not want to have my daughter switch schools in the middle of the year. I'm like, okay, you're an Army brat, but I don't want you to be affected too much. Just enough, but not too much. So I'm like, actually, her teacher, of all people, her teacher's like, I'll watch her for the next 6 months. Let her finish school here.
Yeah.
So her teacher and the assistant teacher, between the 2 of them, they pulled everything together, and my daughter was able to finish school in that state, and
wow.
with her friends, and it helped because last year she was in a different school, and now this year a different school in a different state. So 3 years in a row, 3 different states, 3 different schools. So it's like, I want her to at least finish a full year in 1 school before, she does this jumping around for the next few years, because I knew it was going to be like that for a couple years. So I gave her my ACU cover before I left, and I'm like, and I'm like, when you feel sad, when you feel angry, sad, lonely, frustrated, put this on. It'll help you. It'll make you brave. So she called it her brave hat, and so she would wear. And she would wear that to school once in a while, and especially when it was.
And there were no problems with that, right? I mean,
no.
The principal.
No, and it was funny. It was a Montessori school, so it's all about.
Okay, I know my daughter went to a Montessori school.
It's all about peace and everything. You get this little girl showing up in an Army hat, so kind of possibly a contradiction. Wearing a Judas Priest shirt at a Catholic school, but Yeah, they let her no problem, and it helped her. So that's what. As soon as I saw the illustration, I'm like That's what I really honed in on, and I'm like, I like this. And then I saw,
Yeah.
the next illustration. I think it was like three or four. Uh,
Yeah, we're on our seventh one now. We're getting there. We're getting there.
so when I
But
saw
I'm
him, I'm
glad to
like,
hear you
this
say that.
this makes a connection for me. I would be a possible, if I wasn't
Hmm.
associated with Tactical 16, and I saw that at a bookstore with my daughter, but she's got a bookshelf just full of books. So we get books less. She just got 3 or 4 books today at the book sale. So that would be a book. It'd be like, hey, why don't we check this out? Why don't we get this? So that for me as a parent, as a service member,
Yeah, yeah.
father, you really hit the nail right on the head with that. So
I'm glad. I'm glad.
really sucked in your demographic, your target audience. I believe I'm your target audience, and I saw that. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get this book,
See,
and I'm
that's
gonna get it
that's
autographed
what
after
I'm
reading
hoping. And but the she's so and the relationship with her folks and her grandparents as well. It's so solid. It doesn't have to um, go to only children who have ties to the military. They were, Army brats, or their grandpa, grandma. It's a really good story, and the best thing that could happen, which would certainly be more talk. Just solid talk around post-traumatic stress, and then it becoming part of a series of books about Ashley's adventures. I was talking to a friend the other day about post-traumatic stress, because his best friend was in the first Gulf War, and suffers from post-traumatic stress, but he is not doing anything. He's not he isn't getting any treatment per se, but he could be self-medicating.
it.
I'm not sure what he's doing, but the fact is, it's so it's so real, and it's something that we as a nation need to talk about. So my friend said, you know what, Pam, I'm just gonna go to Google, and I'm gonna put cure for post-traumatic stress, and just see what comes up. And so of course, a lot of things came up, and he says, "Are you noticing here that almost every, like, all of the first 5 or 10 entries are all government-run programs, or VA related, or Department of Defense related?" So if you go, like, if you don't want to mine down to the 20th or the 30th thing that came up, it's like all of the information, the first information that comes to the forefront is government related. So you're gonna get the government's take on what works, or is there a cure, or why there is no cure. And I also know that, but I don't know how it's done, but I know that there are ways or things you can do to make sure that your information comes to the top. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, if you want if it's something about a court case that's here in Raleigh, a station can do. There's something you can do through the internet, and there may be a cost. There probably is a cost involved, so that your station's report will be the first, after, and then the others will come after that. So then I began to wonder, well, is that what the government is doing to make sure that if you Google this, that all you're going to see is their take on it, their treatment methods for it, and then maybe somebody's interview about it, or maybe somebody's firsthand experience with something that worked for them. I mean, talk to me if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah. Um, with I'm big into other forms of treatment of PTSD and other looking out for other avenues of approach, I guess you would say. So to me, reading might be the most beneficial thing to having an illness, a disease, or a malfunction, whatever you want to label anything that could go wrong with you or your body, inside or out. I would say read. So that right there. Sometimes you may read a book, I got something wrong with me. You may pick up a book and realize you're a hypochondriac, and that's it. So you don't have to do anything else. Other times, you may realize, you learn a lot when you read, and especially when it comes to PTSD, which
Huh.
I had on the show a while ago, a holistical shaman, not like you think with like a tiki torch and all that stuff, but just taking a
I was
different
already going there.
yeah, a different approach with TBI and PTSD, and like you said, this is not going to cure it, but it may help this person. So, there's alternative forms of healing, and collecting information, and I think something like this, what you do and the research you do, that's a big thing. Instead of just like what I did in '04, come back, hey, thank you for the bag of pills, and then not read the
Yeah.
labels, and cause yourself a mess.
Well, you know what? I mean, since we're just talking, we are just talking. I find I don't know what the pharmaceutical industry, what kind of relationship they have with physicians and other types of experts, but let's see. The first time I lost my job, I was all out of sorts, and so I was talking to a therapist, and and so she gave me a bunch of pills. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. I hope, how many of these? How many times today? Okay, thank you. I hope I feel better. I hope I feel better. So now, let's say like a year, more than a year has gone by. I have since found a job and then lost another one, so I'm unemployed again.
Yeah,
But I'm thinking,
I follow you on Facebook. Wait a second, did I read an old post? I believe it now.
this is new. This is a relatively new thing. But so you have to get your prescription renewed. You have to go in so that they can see how you're acting. Are you too up? Are you too low? Are you just which I guess kind of want to just so. She just keeps writing the prescription. She never says, you know what, Pam, I'm gonna, of all these that I'm giving you, I think we're gonna just stop completely with this one. Maybe she just write bye, and then she'll say bye. I'll see you in next quarter when you have to come back here again to get them. And I thought, is this any way to run a mental health operation? I don't think so. But it's the simplest thing to do. I mean, there's obviously money in there. Of course, there's money in it. But to not even have one conversation with me about, hey, Pam, it's been a couple of years now. You don't. I'm beginning to feel like we need to do something different.
Yeah, hey, I got an idea for your next children's book. You could either do incompetent doctors or evil bosses. I'm sure you could hone in on how they tie in together. That'd be a great book.
I got this.
I'd read it.
What I have been saying is, I got to peek behind the wizard's curtain in a lot of what happens in broadcast journalism, and I couldn't keep working the way I was working. I'm not saying that it was all bad, but if there's a war going on and you decide that you want your top story to be a book that was written by the mistress of a congressman who had already written the book, she just kind of wrote a new foreword to the book, and that's the lead story. That's your number one story when people are bleeding and dying. And
that's funny. I'm in school for communications and media arts, broadcasting, all that stuff.
mm-hmm.
It's mass media. Is it a mass media? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm taking a mass media class right now. We're talking about ethics, and I already forgot that other chapter. The basically the industry, and things of that nature, and the ethics behind it. And my professor was a former anchor woman, photojournalism, and so she has a very good view of, okay, this is what I did when I was an anchor person, when I was a news writer. Okay, and she'd give us an example of possibly something that happened in her career.
Yeah.
And I'm the oldest person in the class by, I would say, by at least 13 years,
mm-hmm.
maybe 15 years. I can't see anybody being over the age of 20, 21 in that class other than me. I'm 35. And so the response to some questions, I look and I'm like, I don't know if I want to strangle you or just pump my fist, because I'm like, and I spoke with the director of the department about an internship. He goes, why are you so excited about an internship? I'm like, listen, these people got 15 extra years than I possibly do. I go, as soon as we hit the job market, this is my competition. These are my classmates. They're my competition now. So I look and I'm like, that's my competition? Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I know. Get out of here.
God, Buddha, whoever you believe in, thank you for.
I know.
We're hitting the job market at the same time.
Right. You are my competition. There was a story we did about a man who was arrested for assaulting his girlfriend, and so he was arrested. He was put in jail for assaulting her and for cutting. Took a knife and like cut the leg of the puppy that they had. So we're in a meeting talking about it, and everybody was talking about the puppy, and they said, "Oh my gosh, that puppy's so cute." What is the vet saying about whether the puppy is going to be able to walk again? He'll be able to walk again. Well, what are they saying about how many people are coming up to adopt the puppy? Can we go in there and get visuals? And we did. We got in all the cute puppy pictures. So I'm in the meeting and I say, do any of y'all? There was a woman who had to be taken to the hospital because the boyfriend beat her up. I said, do y'all even know where she was taken or how she is? And then they looked at me like I was an alien from another planet, and they went like, oh, yeah, thanks. We're going to look into that. So then I said, you guys are talking about the puppy being adopted and all these people who want to adopt the puppy. I said, it belonged to her. I said, can't she get her puppy back? And then they looked at me like I was an alien from another planet, and they said, no, she's not getting that puppy back. Are you kidding me? Like, they know that puppy needs to have a good home. And I said, she didn't do anything wrong. I said, do you realize, like, y'all, first of all, you don't even care how she's doing, and you're acting like she's the bad guy, the criminal. So listen, so I'm the one having these battles, and I had too many of them. I think they just said, Pam, you're not with us. I'm not.
Yeah, it's what's that movie? I forgot. With Gene Hackman in it. I didn't get a harumph out of that guy. I think Blazing Saddles. Harumph. All right, now we're back on harumph now, and I'm looking at the class, and the professor asked a question about it was about Megan's Law and how would you handle this situation.
Mm.
And there was somebody that's like, the media should mind their own business and not spread these people's business. And I'm like, the heck? Okay, I get. All right, you look like you're 19. I don't know, maybe really, really
Yeah.
25, but you're dumb either way. Have a kid or be around children, because apparently you've never been around children before ever. Like,
Ever.
and so I'm looking at it, I'm like, these are the people that are going to be. I may be getting my news and information from these people, and it's like, okay, maybe maybe doing documentaries is in the cards for me. I'm not working with any of you. No way.
No, it is it's a new world order, and you gotta accept that. And if there's a lot of money that goes with it, then you're going to like that, and I suppose look over some things. But we are constantly, or I can't say we anymore, they're constantly watching on monitors, like what's trending, what are people clicking, what are people talking about, and that begins, it doesn't determine 100% what's going to be in a newscast, but it definitely goes into the weighing of how big something is going to play. And because people were clicking and clicking and clicking and asking and commenting so much about that puppy, we were finding, and every day we had a fresh angle, on that puppy. And look, the puppy can walk. Look, 10 bazillion people want to adopt the puppy, and so we all, I was going to say we were slaves to the monitor that kept track of all this information, but everybody was walking by it every day and looking at it, and then using that to determine what was going to be.
Yeah, it's strange, and that's the thing. Like, I think kind of parallel in certain ways where we possibly mirror each other in certain ways. I felt that way with the military about being active. I'm like, I can't. Fundamental difference, and I want to do this job. You want to do this job. There's more of you that are drowning me out and flushing me out. So I gotta do something else. Sounds like that way with you with working in the media. It's like sometimes you just got to take a step back, doing something like a children's book, and maybe finding your niche. It took me 14 years of having a career before I found out, what this niche was, what my niche might be. And so going back to the book, tying that all in, how does it feel with you having the book going to be coming out now compared to what you were doing before, maybe not always being happy, in work compared to now? Ow, did we lose Pam? I think we lost Pam. I've been talking. That was a very good drawn out question that Pam's not on. Well, I see her. I don't know what the heck happened here. This is crazy, folks. For all of you that are, well, and you people are going away too. I see those numbers dipping. Oh, Pam's gone. What happened to Pam? We're gonna get Pam back here. This, I'm gonna forget my damn question. We'll get Pam back on. I don't know what happened to Pam. Internet. See, this is what happens. Sorry, folks. We were just talking about what may or may not be right and wrong in media nowadays, and look what happened. They just 86th Pam off my show. So we're going to try to get Pam back on, but what I want to say is her book's being worked on right now through Tactical 16, and it'll be out in the future, and it's going to be exciting. And I didn't think my guest was going to drop off midway, but it's whatever. We'll make the most of it, folks. Maybe we'll get Pam back on, maybe not, but up until that point, she was awesome being on. So, man, I was going to see if she could do my homework for me. I don't want to do my homework. I got a rhetoric assignment. I have to come up with a paper about um, uh, how Greek rhetoric is inside of advertisement now, and I have to pick one out. So share your thoughts. Write me at jstoic@tactical16.com and your thoughts. Listen, folks, be specific on the commercial you're going to talk about, okay? Maybe I'll use your commercial. Maybe I'll use your idea in my assignment. It's not cheating. It's brainstorming, okay? I'll be brainstorming on a very large scale. So I'm going to need all of you guys and gals out there to write what you think, how you think Greek rhetoric is in this advertisement or in this commercial you're watching. And what I'll do is, if I think it's worthy, I'll put it in my paper. That's not cheating, okay? That's being crafty. I like to call it being crafty. And I'm going to see if, no, I just think she completely dropped. I didn't even get an email. Not even a goodbye. Apparently she's a fan of Bon Jovi. Never say goodbye. All right. But we'll see if we can get Pam back on here. I don't know, maybe a couple minutes or so. If not, there's only 20 minutes left in the show. But anyway, listen, folks. I wanted to say a bunch of stuff, but I don't want to be up on a soapbox tonight. Okay. I am aggravated though. I can tell you that much. I'm a little heated about stuff. I only had one class today. I had one test today. I was busy. I didn't even have to study. Okay, but I was busy, not even school related. There's 2 days a week where I only have one class, and I just want to enjoy those days and do stuff that I normally wouldn't be able to do if I was still active service, like not shave, wake up and not get dressed. Like, I got a pair of sweatpants on and a t-shirt. I'm not going to get dressed until I have to leave the house. You know what? If I leave the house, but I'm in my car the entire time, I still may not get dressed. It's a good feeling. And maybe play a video game. Maybe watch a little TV. Maybe take the dog for a walk. Not take the dog for a walk because the dog chewed a cord in half. So the dog will not be high-fived. I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of going to the dog park when you just chewed the cord in half from an iMac. Thanks, puppy. Anybody's got a puppy out there, how about you write a fan letter to me about how you dealt with a dumb puppy? Because I have a dumb puppy. I'm not going to kick it. I'm not a dummy myself. I'm trying to help this dog. I said last night, I only said this, all right? I'm like, I want to punch this dog in the face right now. If the dog was a human, okay, and equal of size and stature to me and fighting capability, I might have punched the person in the face. Because think about it, folks. If someone was to come into your house, okay, walk into your room and chew the end of the cord off of your computer, how would you react? Would you take that person for a walk? If you did, would it be over a pier or off a cliff? No, you wouldn't take it for a walk. And I looked at the dog. I'm like, I want to punch you right now. I'm not gonna do that. I don't hit animals. I don't beat animals. I'm not a quarterback for the New York Jets. I'm not gonna do that. But I was so angry, and I'm like, you lost the privilege of sleeping on any bed for the foreseeable future. The dog was in my daughter's room, and just ate. Oh, okay, we got Pam back, so I don't have to talk about my puppy anymore. What I was saying was, I have a puppy, 3-4 months. Not really a puppy, more of a demon.
What kind of puppy?
A miniature American Eskimo. It's a cute white fluffy thing that chewed the cord of my iMac in half. Last night, got off my daughter's bed. I'm like, okay, you've shown that you have bladder control, so now you can go back on my daughter's bed.
Mm-hmm.
and then got off the bed and chewed through the cord, chewed it right in half. And I caught her in the act, and I looked, and I'm just like, what I said, like, if you were a person and a person just walks in your house and chews a cord in half, you'd hit that person. But I'm like, you're lucky I'm not going to hit you. You're not my friend right now. But it's like, you look at the dog, and the dog, like, put her ears down, like, I'm busted. It's the same thing with a child. You walk in and a child puts their hands behind their back real fast. It's like, okay, what is broken behind there, or what color are your hands now? I looked at the dog,
Exactly.
and it's just like, okay, you're sleeping in your kennel for the night, which is a gigantic kennel for her.
Yeah, for a puppy, but then is the puppy barking and whimpering all night?
Last night she didn't. I really think, like, if an animal can smell frustration or fear or anger,
Uh-huh.
last night was it. Because usually if she goes into her kennel, which is a big kennel, it should be for like a Saint Bernard, and I got this little miniature dog, and
Right.
she'll whine and cry. Okay. Last night, not a peep. It's like, okay, really. So this morning, what do? She gets out. What does she do? She chews the cord in half for the printer. It's like, okay, the computer wasn't good enough. Now the printer. It's like, listen,
Okay.
I realize deep down inside in my soul, I'm a cat person.
You know what? We're always talking about Google and putting something in the search box and see what comes up. Google can answer a lot of questions. You know what? We just kind of put in dog, no, puppy, biting, you know, what to do, you know.
Yeah, it's
that has to stop. That can't continue.
yeah, it's like, all right, the peeing, okay, the vet has said, and what I've read, it's like their bladders take longer to mature. They take longer to mature. They're puppies in a mental sense longer.
Okay.
So I'm like, yay, great. It's like, okay, this dog's gonna have a puppy mentality for a year and a half.
At least.
At least. And then this, it's like, okay, the pee, all right, okay, it's linoleum, I could wipe it up. But this chewing through stuff,
Yeah.
it's just like, ugh. This is like the third electronic item that's been destroyed. I don't know what the first one. Oh, another computer charger. Like, you could only put so many plugs up before there's nothing on in your house. So yeah, I'm just gonna pull the fridge away from the wall a little bit and get some of that 220 amperage in you. You're gonna cut that out.
I don't know why some will only go after shoes, like they're just destroying shoes right and left, and then it's plastic, you know, things that are made of plastic.
No, it was 3 pairs of my daughter's flip flops, and the last pair, found out she realized got that one. Part of it had gone through and was cycled through. It's like, oh, that's where that went. Nice. Okay, so now it's like a phase. You know, sometimes kids lie, sometimes they steal your car. This dog is like, okay, I already went through the shoe phase, now it's the expensive electronics phase. And
yeah, that, you know what, that kennel's looking real good. But the other thing is, you know, that they say, and I had a lab for like 13 years, but you know, that's like their comfort place. Like it's not a place for punishment. They actually like it. Like they feel secure. It's like, this is my space.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to keep it as. I don't want it.
Right.
Okay, just bit through something here. I'd let you just chill in the living room. No, that's so. It's like I'm having. You know, I feel like this nice callback. I feel like a doctor with ethics, with morals. Is like, I gotta give you these pills, but I don't want to give you these pills. I'm at a crossroads right now with the dog in the cage. Right now, she's got her nose to the ground, looking for. So, but we were.
When I was I'm sorry, this has something to do with the book and not the dog. Is it all right if I go there?
Go back to the book.
All right. So when I had the idea for the book and wanting to get it published and had little money, you know, everybody was talking about these crowdfunding sites, and you know, they all have their pluses and minuses, and I thought about going that route,
Mhm.
but then I began to feel like, what happens if I put this whole project idea together and I have little incentives and rewards for people who give at a certain level, and they would all have my eternal gratitude. But I didn't do it because I didn't think people would actually do it. And maybe that was like a lack of confidence thing, but the Kickstarter is like the main one of, I guess, one of the main ones,
Yep.
and their information had been compromised. People's personal information had been compromised, and so there was kind of like a pause in people contributing, and I I didn't think that they would do it. I felt like they would say, woohoo, we're behind you, and we're going to do it. But it's just been my experience that, walking the walk and talking the talk, they're obviously two different things. And I don't know if Tactical 16 has ever tried that, when you were just getting going, or if there was a specific.
So, and I looked into trying it, and it's just something. I became aggravated with when I saw Spike Lee and Michael Moore or another filmmaker were crowdfunding their latest movie. It's like
Come, guys,
you guys are internationally known.
you got the money.
Yeah, it's like you
Come on.
why are you pandering to other people? Shouldn't you be doing that somewhere else? Or you know what? Say you don't like this. Let's just say somebody like Spike Lee. I know he crowdfunded one of his movies or is crowdfunding a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe you don't like the system or the status quo. That's fine, but
Okay.
you have plenty of money. You have money, unless you are really bad at accounting. Which, if that's the case, I wouldn't give anybody. I wouldn't give
Exactly.
It's like
Actually,
somebody
I
like
hadn't
you.
heard about that.
Yeah, I think it kind of puts a damper on the whole mood of like crowdsourcing when somebody like you trying to publish a book. Somebody like me is trying to do something for a one man documentary.
Yeah.
But then you see, okay, you have Oscar awards. You've won Oscars, and you're asking the whole world for money. That's really, I don't know. I have a problem with that. Did we lose Pam again? She pauses in the most peculiar situation right now. She looks like her eyes are closed. So, oh boy, we're gonna try to invite Pam again. We're on the edge of suspense right now with her response. Let's just wait 5 minutes for that answer. Let's look at the tree. Oh, for those of you that are just listening to Tactical 16 through vetsonmedia.com, I have a picture of a tree, two trees behind me. Yeah, two trees. That's it. They're not really the Bob Ross style trees because these trees do not look happy. They're not happy little trees. These trees are naked. They're bare. They have no leaves. They're cold and embarrassed trees. Like if you're a tree and leaves are closed and somebody just takes a picture of you with no leaves on there, is it just like natural pornography? I don't know. Very weird. Okay, don't know if we're going to get Pam back. Got 20 minutes left in the show anyway. But I'd like to get Pam back. But here's one other thing. With Tactical 16, we try to lessen the cost of the book onto the author. We do things, we sell merchandise. We try to, sometimes we get authors that are like, hey, the sales of my books for this day can go to assisting this author. So if you're thinking about publishing a book, or if you're listening, you're a fan of Pam, or you're a fan of mine, or if you're a fan of mine, you should write to me and make me feel better about myself, because I have 3 classes tomorrow at school. So as of right now, I don't feel good. Who wants to wake up and take a math test first thing in the morning? I don't. Well, somebody does, but those people are math nerds. those people get laughed at and tomatoes thrown at them in public and get their heads shaved. But no, I personally am not a fan of math. So we got Pam back. So I have a math exam first thing in the morning. Now, which one is Pam? I got two Pams on the bottom. This is very strange. It's quite strange indeed. Hi, Pam. Can you hear me? I think Pam will be back on. I think. I don't know, folks. Right now, if you're, like I said, if you're only listening, I have two Pam heads on the bottom of the screen right now. The picture on the bottom of the screen lets me know who's here. And I have Pam's old picture and Pam's new picture. And maybe I'll try to invite. And there we go. Sometimes with new bounds in technology, there comes snafus. Now, we have the opportunity to listen to internet radio. Internet radio, something that your parents could have never dreamed of, something I would have never dreamed of when I was younger, because it hasn't been around forever. 10 years, 12, 14, 15 years maybe. I think the oldest podcast came around 1998, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I don't know. But you think about it. Oh, and Pam's back. I was saying, like, internet radio sounds fabulous, and it is fabulous, but with new technology, there's new snafus. One of them is bandwidth and connectivity and all that fun stuff. Weather, trees. I almost feel like the guy that's trying to figure out AM radio in 1921. It's like, I know this will work.
Yeah, you keep tinkering with it, you're going to get
it. Exactly. But my question to you, before we were really cut off by Verizon, was with the way you were looking to fund your book in the beginning, and compared to, like, you see some bigger names doing it now. Is that a turnoff for somebody like you that is looking to start a project?
Absolutely, especially, when you know your heart and your head are in the right place, and then there'll be a guy or a girl who's trying to get money to pay their rent or something, and people are like I just lost my job and I'm gonna lose my home and I'm doing crowdfunding, and it's like, oh, next thing you know, thank you, I can pay the rent, and it's like, I don't think that was like the core mission of invented crowdfunding. So so I didn't do it. Either I was going to go with all the gusto or not, and I felt kind of weird about it and just opted not to. And then I was getting frustrated because I was turned away a lot until G.I. Jen. You've been on her show, or she's been on Tactical 16?
No. We've talked. She'll actually be where I am in New York for a project.
Yeah.
At the end of the month. So I messaged her. I'm like, hey, I'm Silent J. I'm Joe from. I host a couple of shows on Tactical on Bets on Media. You do too. And our, I guess you could say our boss, our radio daddy, Adam, the guy who founded the site. He said, you're gonna be where I live. And you got a project going on. Like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, we should get together then. Maybe do something. G.I. Jen and Silent J. Sounds really cheesy.
It does, but it does have a ring too.
I just have to call her Chuck or Frank during we get together and do a combined show or something like that. So yeah.
Well, she certainly knows about you because she was the one. She knew I was struggling, and she could feel my frustration, and she says, give them a try, and then it wasn't even we'll see, or we don't know, but it was like, yeah, this is what we do. Tell us more about it. Yeah, we think we can help you. So it was all blue skies after that. Thank God.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was saying during one of our mini breaks.
Mm-hmm.
We try to go about this a little bit differently. We got a book now that it's I don't want to give too much away.
Mhm.
It's going to be new for us, kind of like yours. First time we've done this style of book, and he's old. He's an older veteran with certain issues and stuff like that. So like let's band together. So Chris Hernandez, who wrote Proof of Our Resolve, hey, some of the money from my books that sell today, I go to helping him out. And the same with Justin Jordan, one of our other authors.
To help him actually get his book published, you mean?
Yeah, yep.
Oh, that's rare.
Because he's in his 70s, and this book is his whole life's work, dating back to his tours in Vietnam. And so it's like, okay, somebody I could see, all right, I'll bust my ass to get the money and publish a book. Somebody like that. So I'd be hard pressed to find not just a publisher, but another company where they're like, hey, we're going to take all of our profits for this weekend and try to help this person out. So that's pretty cool, I think. So hopefully
that's going to be really cool, and even just the way it's promoted, and the fact that he's 70 and he went through hell and came back, maybe not all the way back, but that's a story. That's an incredible story, and it would not be told were it not for other veterans who had a heart for it. It wouldn't be told.
Over 40, the first of what's written in the soon-to-be book. It probably won't be out for almost a year. Yeah. 7-8 months to go, 9 months to go. But the first bit of writing that he did was over 40 years ago. So it's like, this is, yeah.
Where does he live?
Waited patient. He's in Arkansas. So
Arkansas.
yeah, he's waited. Sometimes patience is a virtue. When you can say, I'm going to start writing this now, you know what? Half a century, I'll get back to it, and we'll close the book on this. Oh, make it to close it.
You got that right.
I don't have that.
That's some real patience right there.
That's why I'm only good at writing like 3-paragraph articles. Like I'll write a good cocktail article, but that's it.
I know what I wanted to ask you, because this whole thing about turning your experiences into comedy and building a show around it, of course I couldn't get there to see it, but you have to have some of that on YouTube, right?
It's just a forewarning. We got a lot of nice people that listen to the show.
Oh, Sookie, there's some bad.
Very, very. There's a thing called
Hide your wives.
There's a thing called blue humor, and that's really it's not for the faint of heart. Put it that way.
Yeah.
And that's what helped me actually when I first came back from overseas. I was in a comedy club immediately doing open mic nights, talking about some very, very disturbing settings, scenarios, nothing to do with war. I wanted to distance myself, create on a creative level from the Army. I'm like, I want this to be completely separate. Tactical 16 is actually the first time I combined military and any form of entertainment. Other than that, for like 3.5 years, I'm like, no, this is two separate worlds. It was like one's a mistress, and the other one is the rest of my life. But so it was very dark content. There was the breaking up of my marriage was happening at that time, coming back from Iraq, having to move to a different assignment. So it was like, and then like my daughter was 2 at the time. It's like she has no idea who I am. Just no idea. She was a year when I left to come back, and she's looking at me like, who? Okay, that's the guy from the picture. What were the pictures exactly? So I just went up on stage, and part of it was I really wanted to depress the audience. I wanted to anger the audience, and if anybody found the humor in it, then they could laugh. But I just went up there to it was a good 5-10 minutes of escaping. So it was like, for me, it was counseling. It was hardcore counseling for me.
Right? but I don't know that I do not know that I would recommend that, as a way of,
No,
everybody has his or her own way.
it was unique. It took me a while to figure. It took me a while to figure that out, and then I became a little more. Um, I don't even know about family friendly. Just easier on.
Right.
I'm like, okay, maybe it's not all about this because I would just my goal was like, okay, a reaction. I don't care if people are laughing. They can boo me. That's fine. That's just that's a reaction. I just wanted a reaction. That's it. I didn't care about
Yeah.
anyone laughing. That is the worst thing you could do as a comic, I believe, is to go up there and your main goal is I don't care if they laugh. Maybe if you're intuitive, that's fine. But if you're just going up there, I'm like, okay, the third thing on my list is to hear a laugh. Okay, first two completely different. So
No, you are not 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 like the ordinary. And that's like a good thing to not be. This, and I know this sounds weird, but you're like far from the norm.
mhm.
And isn't that a great place to be?
Oh yeah, I was on cloud nine. I'm like, look, and it was a dark room. Like the setting, the walls were not white. They were not like they were painted black. There was the typical brick wall behind me.
Yeah.
Only one light. I'm like, this is I embrace. And my first joke was talking about wanting to be evil. And so it was like, this is a perfect setting. The lighting couldn't have been more perfect than what I was looking for. And there was always that one guy. One person would always get it. Everybody else would kind of just laugh, and then laughing is contagious. Where okay,
Right, it's laugh. No, they'll laugh and say, "Should I be? I'm laughing,
Yeah.
but should I be laughing?"
or it's like they're laughing, I have to laugh too, so I'm not that person. I think it's more of contagious, like the flu laughter, like, oh man, I don't want this, but I got it. So now it's a good blend. But yeah, if I would have just stuck with that, you would not be on this show. I can tell you that.
Well, I'll just do a little digging on my own, and I wouldn't recommend young listeners, or don't watch with your kids. Just
Oh yeah, and if there's if there are any Southern women out there right now, there's going to be a whole lot of bless his heart after if anybody saw some of that stuff. Bless his heart.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I moved to North Carolina from Miami, and I didn't get that whole, bless your heart or bless her heart thing, because I was a single mom and I lived in one of those cookie cutter like subdivisions, cul-de-sac thing. So I worked at night, so in the morning I would be in my PJs and robe or whatever when their kids would come to play with my daughter, and I'd say, "Oh, look, you guys, excuse me the way I look, I worked last night." And then the moms who didn't work, they would just say, "Oh, bless your heart, you poor thing." And then I got tired of it, and I said, "Wait," I said, "I don't mind working. I actually enjoy the work that I do. So, you really don't have to kind of feel sorry for me." They felt sorry for
That
me.
happened a couple years ago. I went down to North Carolina, the very southern part of North Carolina by Myrtle Beach.
Uh-huh.
I did a guest ring announcing spot for a wrestling promotion at an armory, and then part of it was there was a new wrestler they were announcing, showing off for the first time, and they wanted him to get some heat, be evil. And so what better than to attack the guest ring announcer, which is me. And I was put in a pretty painful move. I was power bombed across the ring. I was up on the top rope, and then I got it. So for me, it was awesome. But so the next day, I do this wrestling show, promote Tactical 16. See, I take bumps for Tactical 16. So the next day, it's Mother's Day, and I am driving through. I stayed in Myrtle Beach. I'm
Right, right, right.
from South Carolina up into North Carolina. Then because I was at the time I was stationed south of Pittsburgh, so then
Uh-huh.
Virginia and whatnot. And I have like bruises on my arms from the way I landed. I landed wrong. I knew what I was supposed to do, but I landed wrong. So I got bruises
Okay.
all over my arms. I got a pair of jeans with holes in the knees, and then
God.
a punk rock T-shirt and tattoos. And I'm like, I'm in the South. I want some barbecue. So I went to this nice barbecue joint and walked in. It's Mother's Day. Everybody, and it's Sunday. Everybody is in their Sunday best because it's Mom's Day.
Mother's Day.
And I walk in, and they looked at me, did the smile, and I'm like,
Right.
my girl's with me. Didn't really know, and I'm like, I know from dealing and being in the South and living in the South at times, like I know what's on everybody's mind, and I got the bless your heart from the lady up at the register, who was also the owner. Her and Big Daddy were the owners. They had a painting. You know you're in the deep South when the owners of the restaurant have a painting of them on the wall. It's like, this guy's an institution.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I got that, and I'm like, all right, I got some Carolina barbecue. I'm good. I got my hush puppies, my pulled pork. I'm good. You can look at me all you want, little girl. I see in your frilly little dress. She's turned around in the chair, looking like, what is that?
This man is broke down, beat down. Let's give him some food quickly so he can leave.
Yeah, and I'm driving a Volkswagen, which, I stuck out like a sore thumb.
It
And
keeps getting better.
this wasn't the outskirts of like Myrtle Beach where it's okay. This is a couple hours drive in South Carolina. So it was funny. That was the time I got to bless your heart. So I was like,
yeah, bless your heart.
I still got it in me to make people really tell me politely what's wrong with you.
You got a million of them, I'm sure. Did this whole setup is really new to me, and I wasn't sure if people could ask us anything. Is it live in that way, or?
It's completely live. It's live. Here, I should have. When your book actually comes out, we'll have you on again. That's what I like to do. I like to have the authors on a couple times. One do like, okay, your book's about to come out, or your book just came out, or now afterwards. This is a whole new conversation. The way this is set up through Vets on Media, people can listen to it through vetsonmedia.com, or they can watch it through YouTube or Google Plus.
Gotcha.
Google Plus, Google Hangout, or you could go to YouTube and watch it. Yeah, and since you're on via camera, I have one line people could call in on. So that's why if you weren't able to be on the camera, then that would be the line you would call in on. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you're even having a conversation around my returning when the book is actually out and published. And wouldn't it be so great if Eric, who is on Fox pretty regularly, Fox News fairly regularly, he's a great guest there, if he just brought me along, one Sunday or Saturday, whenever he's on. I think that's another conversation we need to have.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, Eric, ditto. I feel the same way.
I'm just saying.
Been with Tactical 16 from the beginning. This guy's not.
I mean, they need to see another face, another voice. He's always on. We need to share that.
We're gonna get rid of him. Well, then the other gentleman that was on last time, Rob Lewis. That's authors, and he's my co-host on Sunday Night Show.
Mm-hmm.
For all you listeners out there, we talk. Okay, you get some foul language sometimes, but we get some really deep conversations sometimes. If you like tin hat theories, and if you're talking about wearing tinfoil hats, Bigfoot, and government secrets, and then a good cocktail, and
I'm there. Wait, what night? What night is this?
Sunday nights, but it's on late. It's on 10:30 at night. 10:30
Okay.
p.m. Sunday night.
I'm finding that show.
That's a fun one. Cause yeah, that's I was calling him Mr. Hollywood from his experience on Fox News. And listen, if
Oh
if
yeah.
you're ever on Fox, in regards to your book or whatever, CNN, MSNBC, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
You know,
I just want to just hold on to his coattails a little bit while he's out and about.
Listen, that's why I'm still here. But Rob signed off with, he saluted, he goes, "God bless America," like that. So
Yeah.
now, anytime somebody from Tactical 16's in the media or national spotlight, you're gonna have to sign off with "God bless America," because Rob did, and I made a meme out of it just in between the few of us.
You're that guy.
There was some fun stuff. Or it sent them, "Hey guys, I got one," and then 3 or 4 guys via text. It's 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. There's grown men having fun with pictures on their cell phone, texting. It's like in another world, we're a bunch of teenage girls.
It's awful, awful, awful. I hope he has a great sense of, well, he hangs out with you, so he gets it. Because there's always that guy like you, the kind of creative one who will take something and then spin it, and it's like, that's not what I meant, that's not what I said. Well, it's right here.
I turned that into an art form. Trust me, I can. I had somebody has told me numerous times, which I'm like, whatever. That's just your perception, that I could go into a room. She goes, "You're the only person I know that could go in a room full of people, tell them to basically F off to their face, and everybody looks like, yeah, I think I'll do that," and smile and pat you on the back and walk away. I'm like, yeah.
You're that guy.
So I think we're gonna fit in just fine in Tactical 16. We're not gonna make any secret memes about you, though.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm really glad. I've had this story in me for so long, and just to be able to articulate it and describe it to people and just show how enthusiastic I am about getting the message out, the bigger message out, is truly humbling, and I'm grateful.
Well, and I wanted to tell you, I was going to say this, the first time we're going to attempt to do this at Tactical 16. Usually it's an e-reader, it's an e-book, and then it goes into a print, a hard copy. Website you could get from like BarnesandNobles.com, Amazon, and then a couple Barnes and Noble stores. When I first moved to the neighborhood with the town I live in now, there's a children's bookstore, and my girlfriend and my daughter went over, and they inquired, do this stuff with the thing called Tactical 16, and the owner's like, "This is more children's books type of thing. It's like a nice little house, and it's all kids' books."
Yeah.
It's in the middle of, right in the middle of a village. It's like perfect setting for a children's bookstore. And she had mentioned, I believe there's a gentleman in the Coast Guard that writes children's books, and she has stocked them on the shelves and sells them on the shelves. So when your book is ready to hit the shelves,
yes.
I'm gonna get it over at her bookstore. So your book will be, hopefully, fingers crossed, and I think she's already done it for a service member before, so I think she'll do it. Let her read the book and see what she thinks.
Yes.
Your book will be in a children's bookstore and not just online.
Okay, my heart just skipped. I mean, several, 3, 4, 5 beats right now.
Don't do that. Bless your heart. Not that way.
No, not the bless your heart. Thank you so much. That's the dream. Just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful.
For all you football fans, it's right down the street from where the Buffalo Bills play football. It's on the same road. It's on 20A. All right. Out, what is that? Quaker Road, East Quaker Road. So it's on Quaker Road. Look for it. It'll be there soon. So listen, if anybody's a football fan out there, when you leave the stadium after you get your chicken wings and watch the Bills game,
Right,
drive
right.
down the street and go to the bookstore and get Pam's book. Now, if you turn across the street and you knock on my door, I'm not going to sell you any books.
No, 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 no.
But yeah,
That's it's very easy. I think we need to as it gets closer, we need to keep telling them that it's just so convenient.
yep,
So
so we're going to work
convenient.
on getting your book in an actual children's bookstore, not just a regular store. I think it's well, hopefully in all the other bookstores too. We're not just gonna, limit you.
No, no, no. There's a bookstore here in Raleigh that everybody loves, and I would really love for them to have it there and to do some readings, and yeah, it's all going to be very exciting.
Nice. Well, we're gonna wrap up here. Got about a couple minutes left, but Pam,
Okay.
thank you for being on, and I can't wait until your book comes out because I can't wait to sit down and read it with my daughter. And in
Ah,
all seriousness, and I have other friends that buddies that are in the military have the same thing, have kids, so I think this would be a very good seller. I think it'll be outstanding. I guarantee you it'll sell better than Eric's book. 'Cause I'll make sure of it. I'll buy it. I'll buy a 2,000 copy
hilarious.
without Eric. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure and a delight, and you made this very easy for me. Thank you so much. And
Oh,
thank you to everyone who listened and watched.
not a problem. I look forward to your book coming out and having you back on the show.
All right. Thank you.
Not a problem. That was Pam, and she is going to have a great book out with Tactical 16. You got to keep watching the website and our Facebook page and our Google Plus page and our Twitter page and the show. Listen, get all your information from the show and tell all your friends, hey, you're going to have to help me write this stuff down, so you're going to have to tune in too. See, you got to fluff up those numbers. All right, fake
Yep.
ratings are still good ratings, okay? So
We
anyway,
understand. We understand. We got it.
yes, and next week I will have a surprise guest. Somebody that I'm not going to give the person's name. This person, listen, I've had everything from wrestlers to politicians to writers to
Rap artist.
TV show hosts, reality TV people, conspiracy theorists. The guest I have next week has not hit on any one of those topics. So I'm not going to tell you right now because if you're like, I don't want that, listen to that person. So tune in next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on betsonmedia.com, and then also on Tactical 16 Radio's YouTube page and also on Google+. And this Sunday night, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, 7:30 p.m. on the West Coast, Center Mass with Robin Silent J. I don't know what our topics could be because we figure that out Sunday afternoon. So, that's it. Maybe, you know what? I'm going to try to get Jeff Whitby. He's a Green Beret comedian friend of ours. We'll see. We haven't had Jeff on in a long time, so we'll see. So I will see you guys Sunday night for Center Mass with Robin Silent J, and also next Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for Tactical 16 Radio with Silent J. Pam, thank you for being on. Thank you very much.
You rock. Tactical 16 rocks, and your listeners and watchers do too. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Did you hear that? She said this show rocks. So Pam said it, and you're going to have to listen. I know there's a lot of people from Raleigh that listen to the show. I do know that for a fact. So
All right.
she said that we rock. So with that being said, I'm going to play our outro music, and I will see you kiddies later.
Good night.
For my family, for my friends, for those that we lost our sight. This is a message, this is for you. Never forget the Lower East Side Club. For my family.